Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhaled frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Poplar, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Toker Talk Radio, hour 2, 4 o'clock in the Pacific time zone. So glad you can be here with us. Me and Brian the Red are hanging out. Brian's getting ready for the flashback tonight.
Oh, yeah. Digging up some nice things.
Yeah. Looking forward to a good reggae night. And then, of course, tomorrow, it's Thanksgiving Day. I will be watching football all day. There will be no new episode, as I will be watching and hoping and praying that the Packers can overcome their 500 record. It's going to be a fun one. But yeah, so we'll be out on Thursday. Also be out on Friday. Although Friday night, we will have a live edition of the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. So Friday night is still on, but we'll be off. I will have replays from last week playing on tomorrow and Friday. But I wanted to follow up on this study. This is this great study that came out of, it's in the journal Frontiers of Psychiatry, or Frontiers in Psychiatry, authored by Rachel Burns, Jonathan Calkins, Susan Everingham, and Bo Kilmer. Now, Kilmer and Calkins, I recognize. They've authored a lot of papers on marijuana reform, marijuana studies, marijuana statistics, and so on. And it was just fascinating to me how in a paper where they were just trying to find a new way to measure, and in fact, the paper is called Statistics on Cannabis Users Skew Perceptions of Cannabis Use. And one of the main things they're positing here is that cannabis users the use of cannabis is much more heavily tilted toward the frequent near daily user. And this is something we know about smoking and drinking as well. So it's not a huge surprise. They are just arguing for having this use days number as a way of measuring these things so that it takes into account the fact that someone like me or Brian is consuming as much pot as, the guy who smokes a joint at his high school reunion in the summertime. We smoke that before the show, so they have to take that into account, right? So there's all sorts of interesting tables and interesting information that we can find in here. Another thing they point out, and I wanted to try and find some of these items that I didn't bring up in the rant on this. But before I do, I'll show you some of the graphs that are involved in this because it's some interesting stuff. And for those of you just listening on the radio feed, I'll let you know, of course, what we're looking at. But this first one is a look at the near daily, or the yearly, monthly, and near daily users. And those are the solid lines that we see in the graph. I'll take the call-in number off of there so we can see some more on the top. So what they're comparing here on the left axis is we've got the percent change. So this is not an overall change. This is the percent change from the baseline. The baseline would be 2002. So how much worse are these use levels since 2002 is basically the question that we're asking. And so, of course, in 2002, they're all at 0, and then they're going to change relative to that. Well, what we see along the bottom of this graph is that the past year use, which is that solid bottom line there, remained about the same all the way through 2007 and actually all the way to 2008, right? There's been a 0%. In fact, in some years it went down slightly, but we're talking about 0% growth in the past year use. In the past month use, which is the lighter gray line, a little bit of raise. It went up 5%, maybe. But not much, right? It's still up till about 2007, not much change. And the daily use, even though that went up 10% through the early 2000s, it still was only up about 15% by 2007. But from 2007 on, that's where we see these numbers just take off. To the point where now we're at almost 60% more near daily users than we were in 2002. About 25% more past month users, and about 15% more past year users. And then the dotted line in between this is the past month use days, how much those have gone up, and that is the measure of how much consumption has increased, not just how many users there are. So what they're arguing with this chart is that it's the daily or near daily users that drive the consumption to rise so much, which is kind of one of those duh moments. Of course, that's what's going on. But still, it's nice to see this in the published literature now, something official. Now, another way to look at this is to take a look at how much of the use versus how much of the users. And they've got two graphs side by side for this one that do a good job of making this point for us. What we're looking at here on the left-hand graph is the past month users, and the darker the shading, the more days per month a person uses, right? So that bottom light gray section, why, that's the people that use, 1 to 3 days a year. And then 4 to 10 days a year is the next band. And then 11 to 20 days a year is the next band. And then the dark band is 21 days or more, the near daily, right? But that's just users, up to over 18 million users. You go to the right-hand side, that's how much use days. And the dark band represents us using almost 60% of the weed.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
I'm Radical Russ Belville, and I want to thank you for listening to 420 Radio. We couldn't survive without you and our sponsors, and I'd like you to check out one of our prime sponsors, the National Cannabis Coalition. I've been working with NCC since June of 2012, and I'm proud to be part of the team they have assembled. National Cannabis Coalition is building the partnerships with reformers, lawmakers, and industry we need to be successful. Visit the National Cannabis Coalition website at nationalcannabiscoalition.com or the easier-to-remember ncc420.com. That's where you'll get the exclusive first look at my radical rants, as well as informative articles from the nation's top cannabis pundits. Visit ncc420.com today, and if you have your phone handy, text Russ to 420-420 to support NCC and 420 Radio. It's a free text message that helps us help you end adult marijuana prohibition. Learn more at ncc420.com, and thanks for supporting independent marijuana legalization public radio. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215. or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
It's like 4 in the morning, I just got here, there's no weed. It's crazy. I'm recording in the bathroom. Be cool.
Standing on stage like 500 peeps, getting high, and they love the way I rhyme when I speak. They love the way I'm riding on the beat. The same way I'm Louis backpacking when I'm riding through the streets. 6 niggas deep when we riding in a Jeep with a bong or a blunt, nigga puff puff chief. Puff puff pass with the cuts on blast, fucking up rotation, yeah, them fuck ass. So far gone, they be dumb fuck last. How we all roll hard like clutched in gas. Smash, see me on the app, I see you online, niggas ain't about cash.
Welcome back, everybody. Toker Talk Radio here. Just about 11 after the hour. That's music from Chewy, French Inhale. So going over still these charts and data from the Frontiers in Psychiatry paper that I just received. The reason part of this was so interesting to me is because one of Kevin Sabet's main talking points is how once we legalize marijuana, there's going to be a big marijuana. I mean, this big industry. And they're going to have to hook and addict kids in order to create more addicts, because it's the addicts that the businesses need to stay in business. Because just like alcohol and tobacco, those companies make all their money on the people that consume every day. You know, the addicts, the alcoholics, the smokers. They're going to need more of them to be able to stay in business. They don't care about the person who smokes weed, once a year on their, summer vacation. Well, what these data are showing us actually is verifying about half of what he said. It is absolutely true. And we find from one of these charts in here that the daily or near daily cannabis user is consuming far more than the 1 to 2 day user. I can show you that chart. This is comparing the use days and the weight. Okay. And so if we look, there's at the very bottom, someone who's a 1 day a month cannabis consumer and a 2 day a month. Now the striped bars represent the use days comparison, and the gray bar represents the weight comparison. So if you look at a 1 day user and then you compare him to a 30-day user, well, a 30-day user is almost 140 times more weight consumed than your 1 day user. And again, if you do the math on that, that's, 1 day. This is another interesting chart that they found here, is that the more often you consume cannabis, the more cannabis you consume. Which sounds obvious, right? Well, duh, if I consume 30 days out of 30 days, didn't I smoke more? Well, yeah, you did. But you also smoked more per day than people who aren't smoking as much. Here's the interesting chart. This is the number of days cannabis was used in the past month. Broken down 1 day, 2 days, 3 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 29, or 30 days, right? So someone who's smoking pot 1 or 2 or even 3 to 5 days, 5 days or less, 5 days or fewer per month, is smoking less than a gram per day, right? So, okay, so suppose the guy smokes 5 days. He's smoking a gram a day. Well, he smoked 5 grams, right? That's pretty easy math, right? But as people consume more often, they consume more. When we get in here to the 6 days to 29 days, we get people that are consuming over a gram a day, averaging about 1.5 grams a day in that mid-range area. So not only do they consume on more days, they consume more on the days that they consume. And then you get over here to the Brian the Red graph. 30 days, I should say the Russ graph too. What am I kidding, right? 30 days out of 30 days. The 420
radio graph.
The 420 radio graph. 30 days out of 30 days. And it's over 2.5 grams a day is the average consumption.
That's about right.
And so that's how you get that second graph where one of us, as far as cannabis consumers go, is worth 140 of those once a month people.
Yeah.
So that side of Kevin Sabet's argument, I cannot deny. It's absolutely true. The mass amount of consumption is going to come from the more regular users. But here is where this paper has all the good news. This, in no uncertain terms, is what we're going to call the money graph. This is the one that takes all that scaremongering and turns it on its head. And this is the figures for the distribution of daily or near daily cannabis consumers. These are people that are smoking pot 21 days or more a month. And they're banded again by how old you are. So the bottom band here, this light gray band, are the teenagers, 12 to 17. The band above it, light gray, are the young adults, 18 to 21. And you can see in 2002 that 13% of all the daily tokers were teenagers. And 26% of all the daily tokers were 18 to 21.
I was one of those.
There you go. Combine that, we've got 39% of tokers are 21 and younger. 39% of tokers are 21 and younger in 2002. Now, we slide that graph over and you'll see those bars for those young demographics shrinking in every year. To the point where you get to 2011, only 6% of the daily or near daily tokers are teenagers. And only 21% of the 18 to 21-year-olds are near daily or daily tokers, making 27%, down from 39% of the overall to 27% of the overall.
What I'd like to have you do is show that upper part of the graph next.
That's exactly where we're headed.
The correlation here of the change in attitude of the kids and the over... what is that, over 60?
Well, of course, if you've got a 100% graph here and it's shrinking on one side, it's got to be growing on the other. As we look at the top edge, we get the numbers of people above the age of, well, let's see, the topmost band is people over the age of 50. The dark gray band below that are people over the age of 30 to 49. Both of those bands, we see in 2002, let's call 30 to 49 middle-aged, and let's call 50 and older seniors, just for linguistic sake. I know, it's a long senior time, I know. I'm getting close to senior, so I'm hanging myself on that one, right? But the middle-aged number has stayed about the same. 30%, 29, 30, 27, 32, 28, 32, 27, 31, 27. It's still within 3% either way. It's close to 30% of the daily or near daily tokers are middle-aged. But check that band up there for 50 and above. Guys with the AARP card. 4% of daily tokers in 2002, 15% of daily tokers in 2011. And a number that grew extremely, aside from an outlier in 2005, but it really grew starting in 2007. It went 9%, 8%, 12%, 14%, 15%. Just about the same time that Kevin Sabet's always fond of pointing out, that's when dispensaries started coming into play. We started seeing all these dispensaries opening up. Yeah, because now older folks that want to go get some weed didn't have to go try to find some high school kid to find the right parking lot to hang out at to get their weed. They could go to the store and get their weed. Here's another interesting bit of data. Real quick before we hit the break. This bit of data is what they call buys per days of use. This is how many times did you have to go buy weed to have enough weed to smoke for how many days that you smoked? To
be satiated. Yes.
Yes. So what we find here is at the ages 12 to 17, they are buying over 0.35 buys per day of use. The older folks, 50 and older, it's 0.1 buys per days of use. Let me translate what this means. Older folks are buying in amounts and smoking in amounts where one buy will last them 10 days. Younger folks, teenagers, are buying where one buy will last them 2 or 3 days. Why is that? Younger folks have to buy on the black market, on the smaller markets where there's been more divvying up. They got lower incomes. They have to go in together to buy these things. In conspiracies they get busted for. When older folks buy weed, they've got themselves a connection. They got themselves some money, and they buy in bulk to save themselves a bit of money. That's what's going on there. But it's great to have this data so we can have an informed conversation on this stuff. Hey, it's 4:20 here, Pacific time zone. Left Wing Larry's come downstairs here to enjoy. We got some Sydney 99 Crumbleweed. We got some Chips Ahoy White Fudge Chunky Cookies. All is well. When we come back, I've got the video from last night's appearance on the Ed Forman Show at Dante's. Myself and Ganja Jon, or as he was referring to us, the Danktastic Duo. Or was it the Danknamic Duo? I can't remember. One or the other. We'll check that out when we come back.
Cannabis Outreach Collective is an alternative health and wellness option located in Gladstone, Oregon, that serves patients in the Portland area and beyond. We are a full-service alternative health and wellness collective accommodating patients with natural, organic, holistic, and homeopathic remedies, nutritional guidance, advice, education, and medical cannabis, fully in accordance with Oregon OMMP law. You can find out more about Cannabis Outreach Collective on Facebook at COC503 or by emailing cannabisoutreachcollective503@gmail.com or by telephone at 503-853-1319. Check out our menu on Weed Maps and visit Cannabis Outreach Collective today. Let them bring in the beat. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja Jon, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant, high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org. Let him bring in the beat.
Big Daddy thinks.
Funky roller ring, roller ring, roller ring.
Here at the Funky Roller Rink is always cool.
They call me cool, 'cause I got more glide in my stride and more dip in my hip.
Oh yeah, fun.
And I wear a mean dark pair of shades, and you can't see my eyes unless my head is bent. No time, give me 5. They call me cool, Mr. Cool.
Welcome back, everybody. 23 after the hour here at Toker Talk Radio. And as you know, I am a member of the Ed Forman Show Hall of Excellence. And last night I was invited to come on the show for my 10th appearance with Portland's King of Late Night, Ed Forman. If you don't know the show, it's hosted in a bar, and it is it's kind of a stand-up comedy show, but what it is basically a late-night talk show. Ed Forman plays this over-the-top, misogynistic, male chauvinist type host out of the 70s with gold shoes. And he's got this band, 3-piece band, Them the Band, that, just like a late show band, that plays between the guests and so forth. He's got some skits that he'll do, and he's got contests where he'll bring audience members up to play drinking games and such. And then he'll have an interview segment, and that's where me and Ganja Jon come in. He invited me to come on, as well as Ganja Jon, so we both appeared on the Ed Forman Show. And here is the video from that appearance. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, boys. Them the band led by J.P. Downer. Let's hear for J.P. Downer, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody on keys tonight, Mr. Poop or You'll Die, Dave Dernosa. Come on, Dave. Let's hear for Dave. Back on the drums, the Tiger Shark himself, Tony the Tiger Shark. Let's everybody! Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring up our final guest of the evening, marijuana reform activist. Who likes to smoke and toke? At Dante tonight. Who likes a good smoke? Who likes the good room? All right, well, here they come, two of my favorite guests. One of them, this is his, I think, 10th appearance on the program. 10 times on our 500th show, we abducted him into the Hall of Excellence. The Hall of Excellence. Amongst other greats is Nixon, Danger Aaron, Gustav from 94.7, L from the Lucky Devil, some of our very, very favorite, Chef Andrew Garrett of Northwest Lakers. At another level, the pantheon of the Ed Forman Show. Here he is, Russ Belville, with his good friend. We'd love to hear stories from him, Ganja Jon. This is Russ Belville and Ganja Jon, marijuana reform activist. Come on, people. Tonight, this is Radical Russ Belville and Ganja Jon. Come on, everybody, let's hear it for them. All right, boys, good to have you here tonight. Just off the top, I gotta say, Russ, always weed styling. Always. You've got the weed hoodie. You've got the sort of weed trailblazer hat. Show the people there. And I like signifying not only Sabonis at number 11, but the 11 wins in a row that the Trailblazers have, ladies and gentlemen. Come on! Yeah!
Stoners are clever people, huh? Stoners are clever people.
Stoners, yes, they are very clever people. We were talking downstairs before the show. You guys are very clever, very funny. You guys should definitely come right for the show. Unfortunately, drink tickets aren't weed tickets yet.
No.
Yeah, we need him to move it to that level. JP would take a pay cut for weed tickets. John,
it's nice to try a legal drug, though, every once in a while.
It's nice.
Nice turn of events.
Let's go to that side. Okay. Obviously, I'm a whiskey guy.
Yeah.
Dr. John, what do you drink when you're not token up?
Liquid LSD, mostly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, I'm a vodka guy, I guess.
Vodka and LSD. That's the perfect combination. Yeah. And Russ is a cider
hard
guy.
Cider, yeah. Strongbow cider.
As long as it's not soft cider. That's
you don't want the soft cider.
John, we were talking downstairs before the show, and Dr. John, I met recently, but I love having him on the show because you're connected through your business. Tell the kids, what do you sell?
I don't sell it.
Right, exactly. Hold on. He don't sell shit. Right? He give it to you, and then there's money somewhere, like, in a Dropbox and shit.
I make a little treasure map, and you got to go find your drugs.
Right. You go to Sherry's, you get one of those little mazes, you make it into the Ganja Jon treasure map for getting sweet hash oil. You sell hash. You don't sell.
I make hash oil.
You make it. It ain't
I distribute hash oil.
Distribute?
Yeah. Local dispensaries around town are carrying it. So you can go to a local dispensary here in Portland and go pick up some of my oil that I made with my one eye.
Yeah, John. Right. He has one eye. Doesn't make him any less than us. I'm always surprised by how he walks through the door by himself.
I recently learned to wipe my own ass.
One fucking eye. One eye.
One eye.
The weed oil, the hash oil.
Hash oil, yeah.
You have a lot of clients that buy it through the other places. People you know.
Yeah.
You know some pretty famous comedians. We don't want to name drop them, but I heard you have a story that will name drop someone else.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it? Because these people love celebrity stories.
Yeah.
I'm like, D! Exclamation point.
Do you guys remember a 90s band that was named after a vegetable but spelled wrong? Yeah!
Corn with a K.
Corn with a K, yeah. I don't know, I've heard, he's kind of a pothead.
Who
the lead singer of Korn. Jonathan Davis. Yeah, he
Nerd.
said it. I'm not gonna be sued for libel.
Technically, it'd be slander, but go on.
Slander, whatever. You know, that's what he's here for, is to tell me what laws exactly I'm breaking.
Thank you, weed lawyer.
But yeah, he's kind of a purveyor of serial killer art and collectibles. I don't know if anyone here is into that at all.
The John Wayne Gacy clown paintings and stuff?
Yeah, but he goes as far as actually owning one of John Wayne Gacy's clown suits. He has it up in one of his guest bedrooms.
Wait, how do you know that?
He gave a tour to one of my friends.
He gave
a house tour. So this guy, he's got a guy who works for him, who just gets him, pot, basically. And then he has another guy who basically goes and buys him this horrible memorabilia. And one of the guys who was, working for him, getting the pot, was sleeping in the John Wayne Gacy room. He also has a sniper room. He bought the sniper rifle, is Texas A&M?
Texas, the school.
Yeah.
University of Texas.
You know what, John, we should call up Dad again. He would love these creepy stories.
Yeah, but most people who sleep in the John Wayne Gacy room only sleep in there one night. But he was showing one of my buddies around and took him out to the garage and showed him a VW Beetle that was owned by Dahmer. Right?
Jeffrey
Dahmer. Yeah.
You know what his favorite pizza is, right?
What's that?
Dahmer, no.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, I was trying to lighten the mood.
But he had a group of people with him. He's showing him this car, and he opens up the car and shows how there's no seat in the side, so he can dump a girl in there and not really see him. And then at the exact moment he's explaining all these terrible things, the ski rack that he tied people to on this car.
Anyways, Russ, it's good to
Wait. And then, as he's explaining all this, the lights go out in all of greater Los Angeles. And all 10 people ran out of the room like a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Are you sure they weren't just making the new film This Is the End? You were just on set.
It's dark shit. I don't understand metal bands, dude. I don't know.
But the weed lightens you up. Does Jonathan Davis,
He does. I'd imagine to get out of his own personal hell he has between his ears.
Okay, so he's got a bad time.
Yeah.
We're doing a little better because we got the good stuff.
Right. I got my eye removed and was having a bad time, so I just started smoking weed.
Right, you had your eye removed, but you smoked the weed. You actually created this world-famous hash oil, and things went better because of it.
I don't know that I created it, but I started making it, and
but yours
I got really good at it, and I won a cannabis cup, and I've won some other contests, and been to Amsterdam as a celebrity judge for high times and stuff.
Yeah, John.
That's a beautiful thing. Come on, let's hear it for John. And how is the cannabis cup, how is it different from the Stanley Cup? Which, by the way, for hockey, isn't Stanley Cup a pretty lame name?
It is really lame.
If it was called, like, the Larry Cup, people would be like, great. Larry's got a cup, big fucking deal.
It's not tournament style, for one. It's best of the best.
What's a pothead's favorite sport?
I don't know. What would you say, Russ? You just said sports.
Well, I love football.
It's football, probably.
Football's a good sport because you get the action, you get the violence to keep your attention, but then you got the time in between plays to load another bowl. So
exactly.
That's good.
I mean, yeah, and like Super Bowl takes on a whole new meaning. You also have a fantasy football team that's all people that have been caught doing weed in the NFL.
Yes, it's the pigskin potheads.
Do you have any football fans out there? Any football fans in the NFL fans? You tell us real quick if you can your football weed team.
Well, I only drafted players who've gotten busted for weed, so I got like Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, I got Michael Vick, and I also draft any player whose name is a pot pun, like Brandon Whedon, LeGarrette Blunt.
Your team is
they
terrible.
got to be on the team. So
they
suck.
They're mostly suspended.
They're awful because most of them are suspended. Exactly.
Right. What outside of sports and murder are my audience's favorite topics? Can you give us the Weedkin update? Can you give us what's happening in the national spectrum?
the story that's been, this kind of fits the tenor of the evening. The story that's been shocking everybody lately is New Mexico. Don't drive through New Mexico.
Why?
Here is why. The first story is a guy named David Eckert pulling out of a Walmart parking lot, does a rolling stop in front of the stop sign. Cops stop him. Guy appears nervous. Seems like he's clenching his butt cheeks. Cop calls a canine dog. Canine dog alerts to the smell of marijuana on the seat. So they suspect he's hiding drugs up his ass. So they take him to the hospital in the next county. They subject him to an anal probe where they basically reach up and see if they can find drugs. They don't find any. So they do it again, second time, reach up there to see if they can find any drugs. They don't find any. So they subject
for the hearing impaired.
So they subject him to an X-ray. After the X-ray, they don't find anything in his body cavities. So then they figure, well, let's subject him to an enema. They gave him an enema, forced him to, all over the place, and pick through it, make sure there's no drugs in there. They didn't find any, so they gave him another enema in which they did not find any drugs. And since they didn't find any drugs, they gave him a third enema. And when they didn't find any drugs there, they sedated him and gave him a colonoscopy. And never found any drugs.
And then they called that match for that fist. I want that, by the way.
So that was the first story that came out. Turns out there's another guy, after that story came out, a second guy came out who got busted for, a blinker, not turning a lane, who was subjected to similar anal probes and sedation and x-rays. A third story comes up of a woman crossing the border into Texas, in El Paso, who gets subjected to vaginal and anal searches in the search for drugs. They don't find any. I don't know if anyone saw the fourth story, the woman who's got the SUV who wouldn't take the ticket and tries to drive away, and the cops bust out her back window while her kids are screaming in the SUV, and as she drives off, they're shooting at the back of the car with the kids in the back window. But no, today we get the fifth story in just less than 10 days of a woman who was taken to jail on a warrant because she had a probation violation for a previous drug charge. They take her to the strip search, make her bend over, spread her cheeks and cough. They see the corner of a little baggie poking out of her vagina and said, oh, let's mace her in the vagina. Maced her twice in the vagina over a little baggie of drugs. Because, it might have jumped out and attacked the cop or something. So that's my advice for the evening. Don't drive through New Mexico.
Wow.
And this is all over drugs. This is all over the world.
That takes a whole new meaning to like Area 51. It's more like Area 69, and they just fucking.
It makes you wonder when all the UFOs landed there in Roswell, did the aliens take cop form and start doing the anal probes to people over pot? That's what's going on.
That's New Mexico, the butt play state. Oh my God! Well, this is horrible. Let's go to a lighter thing. Man, that's we really juiced out the interview with a real dirty, dark place.
Hey Ed, they were talking about weird kid stuff earlier. I gave an 11-year-old hash oil for the first time this week.
I'm cool with that. Make him go to bed.
Yeah, and it's working pretty well for her.
Wow, all right.
Yeah, dude. Well, you're happiness. We're helping
you guys
people.
Are great. You're a great babysitter.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Thanksgiving, or as you guys like to call it, Thanksgiving. What do you guys do for Thanksgiving as potheads? You got turkeys made out of Funyuns, yams out of Cheetos, stuffing out of stuffing.
Well, we're drug addicts, so our families don't love us anymore.
Oh,
So what do you guys? You guys have a thing you guys are doing on Thursday?
Yeah. Did I invite you?
You are now.
Just don't go to New
Mexico. I just have friends Thanksgiving. Orphan Thanksgiving. People whose parents don't love them or otherwise aren't available. So I just invite all my friends over and we have it together.
I know a tradition, though, of the Ganja Jon family that is very, very cute, and it's the tradition of meat cake.
Oh, yeah.
You got to tell them about meat cake.
Yeah, what's meat cake?
We occasionally will make a meatloaf that's a whole sheet of, a pan sheet cake covered in mashed potato frosting. My wife does it every year for my birthday.
Meat cake. But wasn't there a reason you had to have meat cake?
Yeah, I couldn't have regular cake because of being on dialysis. So they
health problems sort of drove you towards marijuana,
right? And they've resolved all of them.
Hey man, they gave you a healthy motherfucking beard. That's for goddamn sure. Is there a certain strain of weed you should smoke for Thanksgiving? What do you toast for the turkey?
I would recommend something that's a strong sativa dominant, because you don't want the indicas that are going to make you all couch locked. You're already eating turkey, and the tryptophan is going to couch lock you as is. You need something to get you above that. I'd suggest a Cindy 99 is a good one.
I completely disagree. I would go with the hard-hitting indica oil. Something like an OG Kush. Something that's just going to splay me out and make me snore and make everybody get the fuck out of my house.
There you go.
We have different goals.
Yeah.
I've if the tryptophan gets to you, the yayo yams will really wake you up.
Yeah.
Boys, I want to close with something. We've got the open mic Kenobi address, so there's open mic comedy happening.
Stick around. There's some good comics. You guys stick around.
Portland has some excellent comics. They're going to be here in just a minute. We want to close with an old. Thanksgiving is about traditions, so we want to do an old tradition with you guys. We haven't done in a long time, really since we've been back at Dante's, or even away from Dante's, called Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is one of our classic games. It's 5 questions on a topic. Tonight is Thanksgiving, and you guys are going to compete against each other. What happens here, there are multiple choice questions on the topic of Thanksgiving. I give you, and Russ, you've played this many times before. I give you the 3 choices. You pick one. I tell you if you're wrong. Russ, you down?
Yeah, I'm here.
John, you ready to compete?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. It's been almost a year.
Yeah!
Rapid Fire, Thanksgiving edition. Ganja Jon and Russ Belville. Okay, gotta start off with a regional question. This is a Gresham joke here. This is best turkey substitute in Gresham. Best turkey substitute in Gresham. Is it the chicken head breasts? Is it the organic meth-fed pigeons? Or is it just put some feathers on the road, kill? Let's eat this here, mama.
Well, I gotta go with B, the meth pigeons.
John?
I'm gonna go with eat that motherfucker.
All right. 1 John, 0 Russ. Here we go. We talked about this before. This is an easy one. Shittiest 90s rock band you'd least like to dine with?
Korn.
On Thanksgiving. Man, you love Skid Row. That's an 80s shitty rock band. Literally shitty. Skid Row. Shittiest 90s rock band. 90s. Least like to dine with on Thanksgiving. Smashing Pumpkins, the Cranberries, or Korn with a K. Who are we going with?
I gotta go with Smashing Pumpkins because I hate that guy.
You're a dick. I'm gonna go with Korn because that guy's a fucking creep.
Fucking after your stories, bingo, you got right, Ganja. All right, 2-0-3 to go. You gotta catch up here.
Someone was killed with this carving knife.
This is John Madden's greatest Thanksgiving creation. John Madden loves meat. He loves putting different meats together. This is the football announcer from Every Year Ever, when football was around. John Madden's greatest Thanksgiving creation. Is it the turducken, a hen stuffed inside a duck, stuffed inside a turkey? Is it the rhinoceros, a donkey stuffed inside a rhinoceros, stuffed inside an elephant? Or is it the Marv Alishaw? Al Michael stuffed inside Marv Albert, stuffed inside Terry Bradshaw, wrapped in bacon.
Well, I was going to go with the turducken until you wrapped it in bacon, so C.
Marv Alishaw.
I'm going to have to go with B.
Rhinoceros, it is Marv Alishaw. Russ got that one. Russ, keeping it a contest. Here we go. Most unpardonable act for a turkey. You folks know every year the president pardons a turkey, saves its life. But what's the most unpardonable act by a turkey? Is it buying fake breast implants with public funds? That's far too smart. Wow, we're at Dante's again. The McMinimans joke, it probably didn't work there either. Most unpardonable act for a turkey is it embezzling gravy? Or is it sticking their turkey dicks in the mashed potatoes?
Well, let's go with C, the turkey dicks and the mashed potatoes.
If I knew it was that kind of party, I would stick
my
my
turkey. All right, both the boys are getting a point for the last question is worth 50,000 per usual.
Shit.
So it's 3 John, 2 Russ. And here we go. Final question. This is a funniest alliterated shopping injury.
Oh God, Radical Russ loves alliteration.
That's a point for John. There we go. Right, but I mean, he called you out on it. It's still worth 50,000. Funniest alliterated shopping injury to happen in an Oregon store on Black Friday. In Oregon on Black Friday, what's the funniest alliterated injury? Is it Larry Ludyard leveled by a large lady from Lebanon looking for a low-priced label maker from Lowe's? Hello, acting class. Is it moms from Medford maimed and mashed while muscling each other for march down macrame at Marshall's? Okay. Funniest alliterated shopping injury to happen in Oregon on Black Friday is that Wendy Williams wrecks her Winnebago into Walmart in Wilsonville while eating Wild Wings and watching Willy Wonka with WCW wrestler Walt Logan.
Did you say Walt Logan?
Walt Logan. Why, indeed, I blew it.
I like the idea of a 7-foot black woman driving a Winnebago into Walmart, so I'm going to go to C.
Yeah, C's got me too. That's good
You
stuff.
boys are both right, but John's got the edge. That's John.
Oh.
Yeah! This class is fire. Thank you.
You win the hand.
Oh yeah, and John, you'll win the fist. We'll
Ganja wife has a good
But
name.
first, boys, if you give me a little of that game show winning music right now, a little game show.
On the blind side, no less. I just got punched by
Not
a
only are you getting that fist, Ganja Jon, but you get a free trip to New Mexico, where the law officers will put that in you 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times. Russ Belville, Ganja Jon, let's hear for him, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, boys.
Oh, yeah, we always have a good time at the Ed Forman Show at Dante's, downtown Portland, 3rd and Burnside on the west side of the river. Great time, and big thanks. We'll have Ed Forman on this show sometime soon. I can guarantee you that. We're just got to work out which day he can come in. Great guy. Portland's king of late night, the Ed Forman Show. Big thanks to Ganja Jon as well for the invite for tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I'm going to spend Thanksgiving Day over with Ganja Jon and Ganja Wife. That'll be awful nice. All right, we got one more segment to go. We'll take your calls at 971-533-7111 after we pay some bills. I can't
We'll be
talk
right
today.
back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, home of the famous lighter leash. Herb Age Designs, get your Herb Age t-shirts and hoodies and show your pride. Herb Age Designs, we've got frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. We'll see you at this year's Hemp Fest. Crank it up.
Why don't we all turn on together? Why don't we all turn on together? Why don't we all turn on together? Why don't we all turn on together?
everybody. Welcome back. Just about 10 minutes till the top of the hour. And coming up at the top of the hour, Free Weed from Danny Danko. That's right. Free Weed. And then at 6 and 7, we've got the replays of the last 2 hours of Russ Belville Show and Toker Talk Radio. Followed up at 8 o'clock with a live edition of Red Eyes Reggae Flashback. And Red Eyes is right here, cooking away.
Diligently finding tracks.
Finding tracks out of the stacks and stacks of melted wax.
No, mine's not melted. I kept it nice and cool in the basement.
Good thinking. Good thinking. So, anyway, welcome back to the show. And I wanted to just catch up on a couple of other stories here as we end this week, since we won't be doing any live shows in the next couple of days. There was a new verb has been coined. There's a new verb out there.
Really?
Courtesy of Danny Westneat, who's a Seattle Times staff columnist who writes the column, got pot, don't get seahawked.
Oh, I got some friends that's going to take offense to that.
And the follow-up is, it doesn't matter that voters made marijuana legal here. Anyone can still be seahawked, fired or suspended from their jobs just for partaking. So now we have a new word. Seahawked is to be fired in a legal pot state.
For consuming cannabis off the job.
Yeah.
Fails.
Yeah. So he goes on to talk about this attorney, this employment law attorney named Mike Subit, who's basically pointing out that, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how legal it is. You can still be fired for it. There's two Seahawks cornerbacks, defensive players, just got suspended. Walter Thurmond and Brandon Browner. Suspended or fired from their jobs for smoking pot, even though it's legal here, and using it had no apparent effect on their work. Thurmond was suspended for 4 games, 1 month of work. Browner is up for banishment for a year because in the past he has also used performance-enhancing drugs.
Oh. So.
Now, this is the problem, right? Because a lot of people will say, well, they knew the rules. They knew the rules when they got in there and they signed those $1 million contracts. They knew the rules. Which is a ridiculous defense. We've got 2 states now where the citizens have decided that smoking pot is no more big a deal than drinking a beer. And we've got an NFL that is more than happy to shill for beer.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably one of its main
most sports
priorities.
Are fine shilling for beer.
Is shilling for beer, right? So we got no problem that the hypocrisy there is bad enough. But here's the other part, and this is what I like. Danny Westneat on Seattle Times. I like that he brought this up. Seriously, NFL, you sweep brain injuries under the rug for years, but on this you go all Inspector Javert? A couple of NFL players were caught delivering repeated blows to the heads of defenseless receivers earlier this month. For one, it was his 4th head targeting violation. His suspension? 1 game.
Gah.
In another incident, a linebacker ripped the helmet off of an opponent and then headbutted that opponent with that player's bare head with his own helmeted head.
The fuck?
His suspension? 1 game. So we know smoking pot is 4 times more grievous than any of that. Yeah. This is where we have so many problems. Those of us on our side dealing with the fact that marijuana is legal is that we see cigarette smokers and beer drinkers all around us who are, at least in the case of cigarette smokers, allowed to be addicts and given some allowances to be addicts. That's been a lot more restricted over the past few years, but still, you're allowed to be a tobacco addict. A lot of companies will give you time off work, get your break time. You can go out and actually have a place designated for you to get your fix. Mm-hmm. We accept that. We work around that. We accept people doing that. And with alcohol, we've got it not just acceptable to be a heavy consumer of alcohol, but damn near promoted to be a heavy consumer of alcohol. And we just can't accept that when we legalized the 2 most addictive, most harmful recreational drugs, that we have to maintain the strictest penalties for the least harmful recreational drug. Now, our opponents are fond of saying, well, we don't want to, just because 2 wrongs don't make a right, just because those 2 are bad doesn't mean that we should let another bad in, even if it's not as bad. Well, yes, we should if it's an alternative choice. If we've got laws that are set up, and we understand that drugs exist, right? We understand that drugs exist. They've always existed. That throughout all of the history of mankind, there's never been any such thing as a drug-free society, ever. There's always been drugs. We all accept that, right? I think you might make some exceptions for perhaps some Inuit. But even then, I think they had ways of making alcoholic beverages and such. So we can accept that drugs have always existed. There are some people that will always want to do drugs. There be some people who will always supply those drugs. If we can't accept those basic facts, there's no point in even talking to these people. But if we can accept those basic facts, people like to get altered, and given a certain range of choices, they will make choices to get altered. And then if we set up our policies and our laws to steer people toward the most harmful choices, that's a bad thing. Our laws right now steer people who want to get a buzz on, they steer them toward alcohol. And then if not alcohol, some sort of prescription drug, if it's determined to be a mental health issue like depression or anxiety or something like that. We got some sort of
bipolar disease.
Yeah, bipolar, whatever. We got some SSRI, we got an SNRI, we got something, to take care of that for you, to alter your mood, to change things up for you. We'll focus you in those directions, right? But the pot, which is almost harmless, the LSD and the mushrooms, which are they can't even be measured in addictability, these hallucinogens.
Yeah.
There's not even really a concern that LSD or mushrooms are addictive at all. Now, they can be harmful in a psychological way if you don't know what's coming, if you don't have an LSD babysitter, a psych babysitter with you, if you haven't been prepped.
If you don't have a trip master, then you may just find yourself in a place you don't want to be. But
there's all sorts of therapeutic value to these drugs that psychotherapists will tell you all about. Same thing with ecstasy. Is another drug that we steer people away from, which we find in couples therapies, people with trauma, all sorts of mental issues and mood disorders can be helped through these drugs, and we steer people away from them. And that's a problem in this society. When they bring up the fact that, we've got 2 harmful drugs already, we wouldn't want to legalize a third, the response is, you legalize the 2 worst drugs, and we're interested in giving people a safer alternative. We're interested in saying, all right, we accept that some people are going to do some drugs, so how about we give you this choice called marijuana? Here's a choice you could make instead of those 2 other harmful choices. But no, there's a set of people out there, authoritarian type thinkers, who really seriously think that you can just say no, that you can just ban it and make it go away, who don't understand the simple truism that prohibiting vices creates crime, regulating vices creates revenue. Been time and time again, from issue to issue, we found this to be true. You cannot legislate against the law of supply and demand. So long as somebody wants to get high, somebody will find a way to supply that to them. It's as inevitable as the sun coming up in the east. All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. I hope you guys have a great 4-day weekend coming up here. Celebrate with friends or family. And if you can't make it with friends or family, understand that we're here for you. We're thinking about you. We're working hard together to try to make sure that you're not a criminal anymore, because you smoke weed and you're a good person. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Danny Danko, Free Weed is up next. We'll see the Red Eyes Reggae Flashback at 8 p.m. Herb Thrasher Flower Hour live on Friday. No new live shows on Thanksgiving or the day after. So we'll see you on Monday. I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you